Greetings everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Week Challenges Guide. And for those new to this series, the weekly challenges are a set of 5 races that usually come out Thursday night, Thursday morning, Friday, wherever you are. And these 5 races consist of the 4 that can already be found in the game, with the 5th one usually specially curated for that week. And the purpose of these guides is to give you an overview of what to expect in these races. The cars required, the tracks they take place on, the laps, as well as details as to whether certain tires need to be used, a tire wear, fuel use multipliers, and even if there are certain penalties. With that out of the way, let's dig right in. And we start with the Japanese FR Challenge 450, which, as the name suggests, 450 performance points. But this is usually more recommendation. Anyways, it's a 3-lap race around Tsukuba circuit and requires a road car from Japan with an FR drivetrain. No penalties for this particular race, so all is good. And the car, I'm just going to use the Sylvia as an example of how you don't really need to hit that much, just more of a recommendation than anything. And as for any tips for this particular track here, why entry and exit? This track is very compact, so you're going to be doing that a lot with these corners. And beware of the AI overbraking. As per usual in these sorts of races, the AI brake excessively, so it's going to catch you out if you're not paying attention. So keep that in mind when you're setting up moves. Next, we have the European Clubman Cup 600. That is 600 performance points, as you might have guessed from the name. This is also a 3-lap race from Suzuka circuit. A road car like last time, but this time from Europe. No drivetrain specified. And no penalties here either. As this example, I'm going to take out this experimental Mercedes AMG GTR with a GT4 setup. And I'm using a default set from the SLS Group 4 as a base, still work in progress. And as for any tips for this particular race, precision and momentum, especially through the Estes and Spoon curve. These are some of the hardest corners to get right, really depending on your state of car or tune. So be very precise in where you place your car and keep that momentum. And beware the AI's lack of spatial awareness. This is one of the tracks where this is particularly egregious, as making moves can be very tricky with how the AI is very militant on staying on their racing line. So be careful about that. And for the next race, it's the Historic Sports Car Masters. This also is a 3-lap race, but this time at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. And interestingly, this one requires a road car of 580 performance points or less, but between the years 1960 and 1989. So we have a car from a specific time period. No penalties for this race either. So for this example, I'm just going to pull out my trusty Ford GT40 that I usually use. All stock, no real special setup or anything. I just run it as is because it feels pretty good to me. As for any tips for this particular track, be aware of the AI in El Rouge. No matter what car they drive, they will always brake here. So if you're setting up moves, be very mindful of that. Also be mindful of the brakes. It's just a general rule with older cars that you'll want to brake earlier because the brakes aren't that spectacular. There are a few exceptions, but just keep that in mind. And of course, we next go to Group 1 Prototype Series. Now this is a 10-lap race around Grand Valley Highway 1, and this has tire wear, as you can see with the tires you use, and there's 7 times fuel use and 5 times tire wear. But you don't have to use a Group 1 car. As you can see, there's a light penalty, and I'm about to show you just how off script you can go with your car choice here, as I'm instead going to use this SF19 Honda, the Super Formula. And I'm going to switch on mediums here because these will do just fine. And tips for this particular trick: if you are going to use this sweeper formula car, short shift and do not use the overtake button. Doing so, you will save fuel because you can go all the way with no stops. Make use of that middle sector because of all the grip this car has. And beware of Justin Wong and Peugeot. He might make your race a little difficult. And if you're not using that strategy, just use whatever car you want on an easier difficulty if you need. If you find the strategy I use a little too hard, do that. Don't be afraid to do it. You're here to have fun. You're not here to be frustrated. You're not here to spend all your time trying to figure it all out. And finally, this special event is the Jimny Cup. An unusual special event because this is a 3-lapper around Lake Louise, but not the configuration of the other one. This is Lake Louise long track. You'll use snow tires and one of the Suzuka Jimny models here, either the SC or the JC. No penalties. I'm just going to use the one I've already modified before. Should fit a lot better on the snow anyways. And if you don't already have snow tires, remember to go here to Race Shop. You'll find those snow tires over here. And once you do, go in their settings and set that up. And of course, the tips for this race: make sure your Jimny is tuned to 450 performance points or more, because these cars are have a bit some pep on the straight. Shift to third in turn 1 and power out on exit. You will get a whole lot of positions doing that. Maybe not that much, but you can overtake a lot of cars doing that. Shift to third in turns 3, 6, and 9, because you'll be doing the same thing, just to a much slower degree. But of course, those also have second unit corners. Speaking of which, wide entry and tight exit out of 12, because that leads onto the straightaway, so you want to get that momentum as good and straight as possible. Anyhow, that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it, whether you've just woken up to these races or whether you returned to the game. If you like this, then give this video a like, and if you want to see more, subscribe to the channel, as I will be making more of these throughout the year. With that said, that is it for me, and I will see you in the next video.